All right.
All right, my
Recorder
dudes.
rolling. Camera 1 and 2 rolling.
Do you want any kind of
Correct.
intro, or do we just go right into the
Rolling.
questions?
I turn my volume.
I mean, if you want to like do your name, locate. I don't know.
No,
Name.
let's just go right into the questions,
I'm
and we
fine
can do
with
like
that.
voiceover, right?
Yep.
Yeah, everything's rolling, so we're good.
Everything's Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
That's a bad habit.
not a good one. Not lately. Don't do that.
Steve, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this museum? How long you've been collecting these kind of artifacts?
Sure. I started the museum in October of late October 2011, and that was after a visit that my friends Ryan, Dave, and I had to Gettysburg. They had a kind of like a paranormal spiritualist museum there. We had gone to do a meet and greet with Alexandra Holzer, daughter of Hans Holzer, and on the way back, I started just shooting the idea through my head about having a museum, based around the paranormal. I already had a couple businesses at the time, and the diner that I had an empty, what used to be a poker room by the former tenant, and I figured I could start the museum project in that room as a complimentary thing for my visitors to check out while they're waiting for their orders, basically. So I budgeted out $50, started asking friends about their paranormal experiences, their opinions on the paranormal, different things like that, and I started just typing them out and putting them into frames and putting them on the walls in the empty room, and eventually started collecting just funeral items, items that some people would eventually come to donate and say, this doll creeps them out, I can have it. And then I would also collect their story, their history of said item. And that's kind of how the museum got started. Over the course of time, I closed the gym I had, I closed the diner I had, and moved the museum from the few buildings I had on Jefferson Avenue in Moundsville to the former Sanford School, which is also used to be in Moundsville, and eventually had 2 rooms there for about 5 years until the city demolished the building and moved it out here to Cameron, which is where we are presently. So that's pretty much a quick roundabout of how the museum got started.
So, out of your entire collection, which ones do you feel are the most active?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you 2 items that I feel are the most active. One in a good sense, one in a darker sense, we'll say. We'll start with the good. The one item that I feel is the most active, that is not negative, not malevolent in any way, would be the portrait of Annie that I have. She's my personal collection. She is actually at my house right now. We were having worries of break-ins here at the museum, and that was one of the few items I wanted to make sure, if there was a break-in, that didn't get damaged or stolen. Another item that would be more on the darker side, the more malevolent side, that I feel is very, very active, would be the Hope doll. And she is here at the location tonight. She is kept in the dark room with other items that were involved with darker cases, malevolent entities, the demonic. So she pretty much stays in the dark room permanently.
She's like the big baddie of the location, if you would.
She's in the upper echelon of those items, yes.
Gotcha.
So I know the last time we were here several months ago, we had some experiences across the location. We did have some experiences with the Hope doll, trying to get SLS cameras to map her. It had some entities that almost appeared like they were climbing out of the mirror in the closet. We also had some very odd light abnormalities in the doll room that we had you investigate with us, kind of try to come up and debunk some like floating red eyes, so to speak, in the doll room. Have you had people come in before and after us that had similar experiences with those things? Were they new experiences? Could you kind of give us, what are things that people most often experience when they're in the location?
A lot of folks visiting, whether at the daytime or during our night investigations, one of the main things people always make a point of is they feel that they're being followed or watched. Especially the closer they get down the hallway on the second floor towards the dark room. A lot of people won't even go in the dark room. We had one couple come in this past year, and they were nice enough people. It was a husband and wife. They were on a bike trip. They had a nice Harley parked out front, and the wife comes in and she's all about, I can't wait to see this and that. And, we like it when guests are enthusiastic about visiting the collection. And he was nice enough, but he's like, I don't believe in this, but I want she wanted to come in here, and he was just doing it for her. He wasn't being obnoxious or anything like that. So we went through the entire room and we always stop at the dark room and always tell people that this is an optional room, because some people do not want to be around it, and that's understandable. And I opened the door, I went in, she followed me right in, started looking at the different items, and he was falling right behind me. And I turned around to make room for him, so I turned around to look, and he stopped at the threshold, and he looked at me and looked down to his left, which was towards the back part of the room where Hope was at and other items like that. And he goes, I'm good. And he wouldn't step foot in the room the entire time he was here. So that was kind of a interesting experience where you have kind of polar opposites. One person's willing to go in and they're into it and they feel comfortable with it, and one person just didn't want to have that in part of his day that day.
Did he happen to expound for any reason on why he didn't want to go in, or did he say he felt uncomfortable, or he just said nah?
No, he just said no.
Okay.
But his body movements, his tone of voice, the way he looked into the room but then didn't go in.
You got the
said
impression.
It said it all.
Yeah. Okay.
Common sense will
Mm-hmm.
speak to people pretty loud in this place.
And it's funny how that kind of stuff, it's not really cognitive thinking as much as it's instinctual. It seems a lot of the time. It's like you're picking up on something you don't even understand.
Yeah. And like, for example, I would have that a lot when I used to work at the penitentiary in Moundsville. There's some days I could go down the Shadowman hallway, taking the trash out the end of the tour, and wasn't a problem. Next weekend, doing the same exact thing, going down the same exact hallway, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to walk outside tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's just, when you're around the paranormal, you're around the spiritual aspect of life long enough, you're gonna pick up on a lot of stuff. You're gonna pick up on a lot of intuitive capabilities that you didn't know you had.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, too, for what it might actually be.
So, Steve, when we were here the last time, we had very briefly at the end discussed kind of what you were looking for as far as what the goal was behind having an investigative team, kind of like us, come in on a regular, reoccurring basis. What's your mission with that?
With that project, that's always been to have like-minded teams come in that I have confidence in, that take it seriously, that are into it to learn, into it to experience, and into it to share. Any and all evidence that they might capture within the collection. So that's
Yeah, that's interesting.
Sorry. No, it's
What was that?
It's his camera. We've had a couple battery
So
drains
normally
already.
that would happen if it was dying or if it ran out of space. But
I can see the battery's full on it.
yeah, it's charging actively as it's recording, and I have 3 hours and 20 minutes of recording time. So
Yeah,
I,
so we've-
I genuinely don't know why that.
That
shut
was
off.
interesting.
Yeah, we've had one battery completely drained now, and
Yeah.
now we've had that. So that's
Yeah, no, there's
a good sign, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on.
I mean it's plugged in actively to a battery that has pretty much full charge,
So good stuff.
so it
right?
wouldn't stop
Yeah.
unless do have the voice commands on, but nobody said anything remotely close to stop recording.
No one said okay.
Yeah,
Camcorder.
nobody said GoPro.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
keep in mind
GoPro.
again, we kind of went over this earlier. Is this is the first time I've been here in a few months,
Mhm. So this is the first
So this
activity
is
the
the
building's
first-
had in quite a while.
quite a while.
Something might be pent up in here, just waiting.
Well, I mean, you probably had the electricity and things shut off.
Well, not shut off, but
Not
the only
shut
light
off.
I keep on pretty much is the front porch.
Okay, so the only electricity running in the building, essentially, openly, has been pretty much tonight for the past couple months. Okay.
That's it.
GoPro, start recording.
So let's try this again.
One more time.
Whenever you're ready, boss. If you wanna, I don't know if you wanna ask the question again or.
Yeah, so briefly after the last investigation, prior to our analysis of our evidence and sharing the evidence with you, we had taken some time prior to dispersing just to discuss an opportunity to become, a reoccurring group for investigation here. Kind of what is your mission as far as that activity is concerned?
Well, again, the initial goal with that is to help raise awareness of that there are items out there that do harbor energy, good and bad. That I wanted to have teams or individuals to come in that I have confidence in that will take it seriously. Individuals that I would trust with the integrity of the collection to gather evidence, whether a lot or a little, and present the evidence for anyone who's interested in seeing it, and sharing their evidence basically.
So, Steve, I know I speak for all of us at Iron City when I say we appreciate somebody like yourself that has a very healthy respect for things that we don't fully understand, and the mission of trying to bring some sort of sense to what can't be explained. So like I said, I speak on behalf of Iron City when I say thank you for being one of the good ones. I'll tell you, in the Pittsburgh region, we're used to things getting torn down whenever they say they're haunted, because they don't make money anymore. So we always appreciate the opportunity to come down here and not only see you, but spend some time with your collection. So thank you for that.
The positivity is definitely reflected towards you guys as well.
Well, and then
Without getting too freaking mushy though.
yeah,
Hey.
right.
Hey,
But I think
we can hug it out later. It's fine.
But really, and I think if you're somebody who's trying to take the subject matter seriously, which I think all of us are, is why we are going to work so well together, is because you have kind of a dream scenario for both parties, because as a curator of objects that could be potentially active, having a group that comes in to potentially gather your evidence consistently is super useful. But also as investigators, it seems to be something that I haven't seen a lot. I see a lot of investigators jumping around all over the place to different places, and that's totally, I think, part of the allure is travel. But really, if you think about it, if you were trying to be scientific about it, having a specific location that is active and being able to revisit to have, scientific theory is always, the repeatable evidence. That's really what we look at. So I think that's really, the scenario is actually really important.
And I think that I've been involved with the prison, and then ultimately with the prison and with the museum now. I've worked with and have met, worked alongside with whatever, different groups and individuals that claim to be researchers.
Yeah.
And, but it's all about the name, selling merch. And stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
Which I get it. Sometimes selling merch,
you got to
it
make
helps
money.
with gas money.
You got to make the money, and I would say this is probably a difficult field to make consistent,
And
guaranteed money.
it took my friends, Ryan, Dave, and Jason talking me into upping my initial daily admission of $3 to $5.
Yeah.
When I had my initial museum, they said, you should get one of the and gouge people, because I'm thinking, they're already going to the prison,
Right.
paying that.
Well, and then when you're
Yes,
somebody
yours
who
is-
genuinely cares about actually documenting the phenomena. You're not trying to put a price tag on it because you're trying to actually progress understanding too, which I think speaks to the genuine intention that you have about it.
I think, when you meet like-minded people like that, it still keeps a little bit of hope
For sure.
that and confidence that the paranormal field does have people that are not in it for. I mean, everyone loves a good adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
But if you're overselling it all the time to make money, then you're not being true to the work.
It's like, why are you charging $2,000 to stay overnight
Yeah.
at a bed and breakfast?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's not that high cost of living where you're at.
No.
You could go stay at a very well accommodated hotel. for
Oh,
that money. Yeah.
Multiple
I-
hotels.
I still think that, I don't know, I'm sure somebody's done it somewhere, but I still think it'd be a brilliant idea to advertise a themed haunted bed and breakfast where you know that's what you're getting into, and even if it's fake,
Well,
it's the
off the
experience.
record, that's something I've always wanted to do.
I think that's a lot of money. So
And honestly,
We'll have to get on
this,
that. You can make
this
something.
place
yeah, we
initially,
have to get on.
until I realized that this town, the restaurant closes at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
How am I going to advertise? Hey, come stay in Camry and eat here. When is it? Family Dollar?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
We take a pretty nice family
It's
dollar.
not bad.
You know, there's a creek. All right, they can go goddamn fish their own food.
That's true.
It's just like, it's something I've always wanted to do. And my take on it, it always seems I'm right before or right after the curve.
Uh-huh. That's
You know.
mine. I'm always right after. I'll have the idea before, but yeah. Anyway.
There's something I've always wanted to do, and I know no one around here is going to be able to afford to do it. I've always wanted to do it. Because my thing is, I've always been interested, I've never had much money to get one. Infrared.
Mm-hmm.
The FLIR stuff. It always fascinated me. One thing I've always wanted to do is, well, one, I would never dive doing that submarine. That's not going to happen. We've gone over the whole claustrophobia thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I get gas. I'm not going to Dutch oven myself. Okay?
You-
But
That's a floating Dutch oven. Let me out.
I'll swim to the surface. But I've always wanted to go on one of the. It has to be a ship because it's up in the middle of nowhere. But I've always wanted to take a FLIR, and I've always wanted to build a soundproof way of doing EVP. So you take the recorder, put it into a soundproof box. It's nice when we had Radio Shack, and then get another one because you can use that spray foam.
Yeah,
Another box the same way, and put the microphone in that one.
right.
So you hit record here, but it's recording in this one.
Completely
So that you're not
isolated.
recording the internal mechanisms and stuff.
Mhm.
And then take it out to the sinking area of the Titanic
Mhm.
with the FLIR cams. So you're watching
Oh,
the surface of the ocean
That would be something.
without rogue waves.
Mhm.
That freaks me out too.
Oh, everything about where the Titanic went down freaks me out.
Everything
Yeah.
about the ocean.
Yeah.
freaks me out.
No, I'm good.
But I've always wanted to do that. That way you have the FLIR's kind of. You're going to have a nice visual, at least a visual recording.
Uh-huh.
Where you're at. Main thing with cameras, I mean, the percentage of you getting something with a camera, like a shadow figure, is under 1%.
Yeah.
It's
That establishes
Incredibly
where you're
small.
at.
Right. It's to
I always
give you
tell
the
people-
grounding.
The best thing you take with you is your digital recorder.
Yep.
And none of that DR60 stuff.
Yeah.
And I use Olympic or Sony.
Yep.
Or Tascam. Tascam's right.
That sounds
Because
nice.
I've always wanted to do that.
I think that's a hell of an idea, honestly, Steve.
It's just,
Hey, you make it happen, we'll join you.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's multiple groups, as long as the groups
We
going
can't-
out there are.
We can't
I might be sick.
we can't fund it.
I might
but
be
we'll
sick.
join.
I mean, if I
I'm not
can
going to
rent
be on site.
if I can
can't
rent a
do-
pontoon boat, we're going.
I get it. I got like thalassophobia sometimes. I can't do it.
What's that one country song, Redneck Yacht Club? Just get a bunch of them tied all
Oh.
together. You know?
Yeah, there he is.
All right, Steve. We definitely want to investigate while we're
Yeah.
here. Last thing I have for you. You have some new items that possibly you'd be able to bring in at some point tonight that we could spend some time checking out as well. Could you kind of give us a quick rundown of what those items may be, what we could see? I know we gave you a Dybbuk box as well for some time here in the museum. Have you had experiences with that? Kind of what are the new items you're bringing in? What can people expect when they come down?
Well, I got 3 new items I picked up from a local antique shop. The lady there tends to hold back certain items that either she or the people that bring them in just don't like. And one of them is a tall doll. The other is an actual kind of a grayscale painting, and the other one is about a 2 foot tall statue of what looks to be a monk. And that was the initial item, the monk statue that the lady from the local shop kind of pointed out that was making a lot of her what do you call them? I have to start over.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
When you go shop at a place, you're the customer.
Customer.
That's it. I was going to say client.
They would have both worked. They would have both worked.
But now the 2 foot tall like monk statue was the main item that she kind of explained was causing a lot of the uncomfortable energy for her customers in the shop. So that's definitely one item I've been really looking forward to getting to investigate or see investigated. The other item that we have, I haven't even opened it yet. It's a doll from a good friend of mine, Sybil. She has a metaphysical store up in Pennsylvania, and it was causing problems at her store, and she very quickly mailed it to me. So it's not even been out of the box yet. It hasn't even been opened. And yes, we do have the Dybbuk box that Iron City allowed me to kind of do a show and share at a Paracon that I hosted not too long ago, and had a lot of people very curious about it, and a couple people weren't too comfortable around it either. So I'm sure we'll probably kind of tie into that as well too.
No. Wasn't anything he did. There's a thud right at the end.
Oh, that wasn't you?
No, it came from
I
back
thought,
here.
yeah, no,
No. Jim's outside.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not even in here anymore.
Oh.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate
Cool.
it. Man.
Hopefully that last bit works.
It'll work. It'll work great. And then we'll make sure you see us all the kumbaya
Oh yeah.
moments and everything else. No, this is great. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll have to open